Welcome to 91 Reasons, a pop culture fueled rocket into the far reaches of nerd culture. Featuring your hosts, Jeff, Rachel, Luna, Austin, and Josie. It's Tucker time.
No, it isn't professional. Hey.
What is professional?
No, there's no such thing as professional. Hey, listen, everybody. It's Jeff. It's the voice of 91 Reasons. I am, once again, I have an embarrassment of riches. I am surrounded by a whole room full of great people. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
And we're not here to discuss Star Wars, which is amazing. It's always Star Wars.
Rogue
Star Wars
Two,
this.
Rogue
So
Two.
yeah, we're here to discuss Rogue 2, a movie that we've written. No, we're here to discuss a very polarizing TV show that this was. Well, let's have it. We'll get to it because you've read the title. You know what the show's about. We'll go around the room. Everybody, introduce yourselves and just who are you? So right away over here.
Hi, I'm Dan Smith. I'm a professor at Mount San Antonio College. I teach film and TV, and I love learning everything both backstage and in front of the camera.
So you teach film and TV.
Yes.
So you're going to give us some deep insight.
As much as I got.
Yes. All right. Who is it? What about over here?
I'm actually Heather Smith. I am Dan Smith's wife. I do everything from artwork, from crafting and teaching, and pretty much everything in the industry.
All right. And over here?
CW West.
CW West.
Yep.
Any relation to the show, Westworld?
No, but I own the channel, so I don't have a lot of time here today because I got to get back to the channel and do some programming.
Do you have to...
Riverdale. I got to get on to Riverdale.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have to renew Arliss?
Yes.
And over here?
I'm just West 2.
This is Elizabeth West.
West
It was Elizabeth who called me late tonight and said, we've had a few drinks, we've had some fun.
I thought she was inviting us out for drinks. I'm like,
I
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
No, it's come over and let's talk about Westworld. And what's really is exciting, we have Rachel here.
I'm Jeff Tucker's wife.
Yeah.
I'm financial aid at Fullerton College.
And she's never watched a single minute of Westworld.
So she's going to start us off.
Yeah.
So she's going to give us the unbelievably outside opinion.
I'll listen to what you all say, and then I'll tell you my opinion on the show.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd
And
be
then
good.
I'll talk about Twilight.
It was a small phase, and the books were good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Okay.
I'm not denying the books.
Okay, so we're here. We're going to talk about Westworld. Now, Westworld, the trailer was like a long time ago, right? The trailer appeared a long time ago. And I'm excited because it's Michael Crichton. I actually really like the Richard Benjamin movie. And I'm a sucker for expensive science fiction.
Yes.
I really am. Like, I know Prometheus was terrible from a script form, David Lindelof, but I liked it because it looked expensive. I like spacesuits and all that. Now, this is totally not like that. Westworld is about a futuristic theme park where you can pay what they gave the price. Is it $40,000?
$40,000 a day.
$40,000 a day.
$40,000 a day to live out whatever Old West story you want to live out. And from the way that the characters talk, they mostly live out raping and murdering.
Yes.
Or
That's the highlight.
or murder and
Killing.
raping in that
Yes.
order, right?
Yeah, shooting and in general.
And in a nutshell, we're following these two number of guests that go through the park and are trying to discover how many storylines there are in the Westworld theme park. And at the same time, we're also invited backstage to witness how the park runs, who put it together, and how do they keep it going and such. And the main difference between the film version and the TV version is that the film version is it's by Michael Crichton. It's the same exact plot as Jurassic Park. And it's about regular people trying to escape the fantastic. In that case, it's Yul Brynner as the man in black gunfighter. And they're just trying to get out. This one completely flips the script. And this Westworld is actually about the robots. And who cares about the guests are secondary. It's about the robots. And what do you do when the synthetic beings that you've created to be masochistic whipping people suddenly have a conscience and feelings and don't want to play anymore. Did I
And
That's right on.
And they have attachment, right?
Which is very different.
Oh,
It's human.
yes.
So I've opened it up. Whatever we want to talk about in Westworld.
Wow. Right?
Right?
Where do we start?
Yeah.
Okay, what season is this on?
First.
Okay.
It's on
So
HBO.
no, I mean it's only been one season.
It's
though?
one season,
Okay,
right?
Because I'm too far behind. I was gonna be like tuning
one,
out here.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's still hope.
Now, Dan, you were saying that we all know that Westworld. Now, this was written by Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonathan Nolan,
and his wife,
and his
Lisa
wife,
Joy,
and his wife.
who actually has writing credits on as many episodes as Jonathan Nolan does.
So it's a Nolan. Yeah, this is the guy that wrote Inception and Memento. He's a good writer. But apparently, what happened was they put this thing into production, and then at some point they stopped, and they retooled everything, and then they started again. And I think, and you were saying before we started, that it shows in the production.
They pulled it apparently because of the mythology getting too complicated, and so they actually stopped to reorder the mythology, and that took the better part of a year.
Yeah, well, it shows because this is a really far-reaching show. I have a weird insight into it because I work at a theme park that's the Old West.
Right.
So I'm watching it going, did they come to the park? Because we did a thing last summer called Ghost Town Alive that was exactly like Westworld, where the guests come in, they're allowed to play cowboy, but they're allowed to play as much as they want to play. You can go as far as you want in the storyline, and the actors at our park will engage you as much as you're willing to be engaged, if that makes sense. They're never going to push you. It's always whatever you want. So I think it was weird watching Westworld and seeing that's what they're doing. The robots, do they have a name?
The hosts.
The hosts. I knew they had a name. The hosts are basically inactive until somebody shows up to butt up against their storyline, right? And I think what you're talking about with the retooling, see if I'm on the right path here. They kept doing the Groundhog Day effect, where the day would start over and then the music would change on the player piano. And
Well, that's important in itself.
Maeve.
That's
Yes.
important
Yeah.
very
The
much in
player
itself.
piano
yes.
is actually a whole nother adjunct to this entire thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Creates the modern world into the West world.
But
Often
it's
using
actually,
Radiohead.
well, it's actually from a
Right.
book, and please forgive me, I'm not going to think of the guy's name right now, the author. But
Michael Crichton.
No. There's a special. There was a player piano book that was actually about player pianos. And do men play the piano, or does the player play them? And that was really the whole juxtaposition of the.
Oh yeah, that's in
piano.
the opening
Right,
credits.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, because in the opening credits, it starts with the hands playing the piano,
Right.
and eventually the hands retreat because the machine doesn't need you anymore.
That's the whole
Right.
idea
Right.
where it
Ouch.
exists. So how far are we going to dive into this? And this is where we're showing also. At the end where they show the maze, there's a part of the box on the maze which talks about the pigs being catched in the rye, right, or whatever, CW, and it says on the box, and this was a real box in the 1800s that they used, and they used to give this little maze out to people, and it became this obsessive thing like Rubik's Cube did.
Right, sure. It was a fad.
Right, it was a fad. And then
Right.
they actually gave it to prisoners to keep them active in prison.
Oh my goodness.
So these maze and these balls and these things, it was about catching them and trying to put them in the pen. So it was, the box says, can you take all the pigs and put them back into the pen?
Sure.
Which is exactly
Well-
where this whole season ended, is like we've now exhausted where we've gone with these hosts and breaking out of these themes, and then do we bring them back into mankind's control or not?
Right. So then let's talk about the storylines.
Okay.
The main one being Ed Harris, one of my favorite actors, plays the Man in Black.
Yep.
And it's a flip from the original movie, because in the movie the Man in Black is a robot played by Yul Brynner, and in this one he is the main driving human in the game.
He's a host.
Who? No, he's a human.
He's a human. That's okay. That's
He's a
right.
human, and he is obsessed with the idea that the farther you go out in the Westworld park, the more dangerous it becomes. And somewhere along the lines, he discovers there is a maze, and he thinks it's a literal maze that is the final, boss level of this game that he's playing. And it's weird because as much as I liked Ed Harris in the role, it seemed as if, and I think he even admitted there were moments he had no idea what he was doing.
They didn't
because
tell
they
him.
didn't tell
They
him,
didn't tell
right?
in the script, just like what they did with Lost with J.J. Abrams. They didn't tell them what their character really was about until they were into that.
Yeah, I don't
whole
get
thing.
that because I get
Right.
the secrecy part of it,
Yeah.
but as an actor, you need all those tools to show what you're portraying. And the thing with his character is that he eventually discovers, like you said, there is no maze. There's
no maze for him.
There's no maze for him. The
But they
maze is
say
for the
that maze
host.
is meant for
The host.
The
The
host.
The host.
Right.
Which is the
And
next
the-
season.
and
This
the-
is going to be next season.
But the
What does
maze
that mean?
is a metaphor for consciousness.
Right.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Right.
No, you're saying no.
I'm saying when you say, well, like we talked about this earlier, saying like jump the shark. I think that's where we're talking about jump the shark. Like I think the maze might be not just consciousness, but it might mean actually a game they're playing.
It could be both,
I think
yeah.
it's a simplified game they're playing. We're going to find out what that is in season.
Or could
2.
it connect to another world, like we saw the
Right.
Samurai World.
Samurai
It took the
World or
last
something
5
like
minutes
that.
of the show to
Right.
admit there might be
There
another
might be
land to the
Westworld,
park.
yeah,
Right.
Westworld.
Which was-
we already know that.
Which was
Yeah.
irritating.
East
Yeah.
World.
Yeah,
Right.
it was very irritating.
East World.
Yeah.
And linking William and the Man in Black.
Thank you, William.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying
So,
to figure
There
we,
it is.
so we're also introduced to a young man, an idealistic
Obsession.
young man.
Obsessed.
And, well,
young
in
man.
season 2, in episode 2, it takes the second episode for us to be shown the process of the park.
Right.
How they arrive by this futuristic train. They're met by a beautiful woman who says, "Does it matter if I'm real? If you're
Our host
attracted
is
to me?"
Old as can be.
Right.
Right. One of the originators. Right.
And then they're put on a train. They're allowed to pick weapons. Then they're put on a train, and the train deposits them at Sweetwater, which is hysterical because that's a town that we use at Knott's Berry Farm, which is really funny. And then William is accompanied by a guy who's going to be his brother-in-law after the big wedding. And there's a lot of talk about corporate this and corporate that, and his brother-in-law to be is a much stronger man who's there to, sow his oats and rape and murder, and he doesn't care.
Take advantage of the whole.
He knows that
park.
it's right. He's the guy at Disneyland eating all the popcorn and all the
Turkey
churros.
legs.
He's got the fast pass for all the rides. He doesn't care. And William is the guy going, "Look at the architecture and the way the park is
and the
built."
little man by the.
Right, exactly.
The tree.
The little man who lives at the tree, right? And eventually, we will find out that William is the Man in Black, and that the show has been playing with the time frame of the show, so that we're seeing the present and the future at the same time. What do you think of that?
I think that was a bit of a mind screw, but I think it was very important because we as a culture are very bored with linear storytelling.
Sure, yeah. This is also, again, this is the guy who wrote Memento, so it makes total sense, right?
We've got JJ who's did Lost, and you see a lot of parallels in Lost, except this, I feel, gives you many more answers and much quicker
Yes.
than
Yeah.
having to wait 6 seasons through Lost to get that one answer, or maybe never get the answer. So
Exactly.
Right. I think that
they learned
that's a
from
trick
Lost.
you only get to use once, right?
Right.
You ever seen the Daffy Duck cartoon where he blows himself up and Bugs admits it's the greatest act he's ever seen, and Daffy goes, "But I can only do it once. I'm dead. This is it," right? So I didn't care for the time shift thing. It bothered me because what it meant.
What does J.J. Abrams is Lost? You do
This is-
like for current time, side time, forward time.
Yeah, no, I get all that.
It's important for the linear boredom.
But to distinguish everything is almost impossible because you don't know.
What?
There's certain
Well,
times you have
it's-
no idea
Yes.
where
Right.
in
Costume
But
change.
where in this
it's
time
but it's
frame
but it's
they're
not a
at.
movie.
Right.
It's not a movie that I can go, "Oh my God, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Right.
I gotta watch it again."
Right.
This is a 10-hour show.
And watching it again.
I don't want to watch it
We
again.
watched it again.
We
Yes,
did.
yeah,
We did.
Better
Unbelievable.
watch it again.
And although some
You're
of that
better than me
that
then.
timeline is a little bit more put together, there's still probably 80% that you're like, I don't know. I still don't know what.
What's going on?
Because
Yeah. This is.
we're also treated to, and this is what we'll get, this is another storyline. There was a character named Bernard who was the head programmer of the park, right? And his boss is
Basically,
Anthony
yeah.
Hopkins, who plays What's Hopkins' name? Do you remember? I want to say Dr. Loomis, but
Dr.
it's
Robert Ford.
but it's-
John Ford.
Robert Ford.
By the way, Robert Ford's
Robert
actual
Ford.
name, by the way, guys, just a little Easter egg. He killed Jesse James in real life.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
okay,
son
that
of
makes
a-
So
sense.
he killed the Wild West.
Son
So
of a gun,
what are
he
we talking
killed the
about here?
Wild
He
West.
kills the whole
Well,
idea of the Wild West
not
by
yet.
the end. Well, at the end, it's
Right.
done, it's all, and they kill him, right?
So
Right.
and let's
Well,
talk
don't-
about that.
the
part.
first scene that we see in the show is Bernard talking to a host,
right.
Dolores, played by what's her name?
Kevin Rachel
Evan
Wood.
Rachel Wood.
Evan Rachel Wood, who's fantastic
Yeah.
in the role.
By the way, Dolores means
Yeah.
sorrow
Sorrow, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, and
in Spanish. Sure.
we're watching Bernard program Dolores and all this, how do they activate the programs and talk to the host, right? And then as the show progresses and the man in black is revealed to be William, we're let in on that's not Bernard.
And there's an anagram on Bernard's
Probably.
name, too.
It's not Bernard.
Right.
At the
It is
beginning.
actually
It's actually
Arnold
the actual
Arnold Shaw.
second
Right,
person
which
who
is
built the park.
anagram for Bernard.
Okay.
Right. Is
Yes.
that right? Is that
So-
is
I think
Bernard?
it's Arnold.
Here's where the first big question comes up, because towards the end of the show, Bernard is revealed to be a host himself, with all of these terrible memories of his son dying implanted in him,
Right.
simply for the sake of Ford's amusement, because it makes him more human, because we carry around
No.
our guilt.
What do you say?
What is it?
No, it was meant to give him humanity.
Right.
So are we defined by the terrible things that happen to us? Is that what makes us
Absolutely.
human?
Yes.
That we
is-
actually care?
That is exactly what this show is deeming that makes a robot human, is their experience with sorrow and hardship that creates them. I guess it creates a need to go forward and fix it. So yes, it creates
Right.
humanity,
Redemption.
redemption.
If I can
and
come back to Dolores just for a moment.
Yeah, of course.
I actually just looked it up, and the actual translation is dolor or pain. And it comes as a shortening in Spanish of the name Virgin Mary of Sorrows.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So
Heavy.
the idea of giving the hosts pain and suffering,
Or titrating it down with their levels.
right? I mean, that's right out of Blade Runner. Because the reason that Rachel doesn't know she's a replicant
Oh, wait, there's a Rachel in
is
the show?
this is Blade Runner.
Wait,
The reason Rachel
Dolores.
the reason Rachel is confused and thinks she's human is because she has memories, and the replicants don't have memories.
Right.
The replicants are in a rush to create memories, to
Right.
experience as much as life as they can before the timer runs out. That's the whole message of Blade Runner is you are the sum total of your experiences, and all of mine are going to be lost like tears in the rain, right? So Dolores is given a backstory, right?
Pre-memories.
Pre-memory. We're calling them memories, but in the context of the game, they're prior games that she was involved with.
Yes.
And some of
Right.
them are hairy. Like some of them were
Pretty bad,
cannibals,
yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
stabbed in the barn over and over again.
And raped in the
Raped,
barn.
and
Raped in
her
the barn,
family
yeah.
killed in front of her,
Yep.
and she gets deprogrammed.
But she's also the other character, too.
She's everybody, but she's programmed not to remember those everybodies.
And she is said to be the original at one point.
Yeah,
But
she's
is
one
the
of the
original.
She's
originals,
also
right?
the one that
So she
killed
has a lot.
everybody. What was that name of that character? She was ultimately the
Oh,
one they
in
were
the
all-
town.
Yeah, they
Wyatt,
were all
right.
Wyatt. She's
Wyatt.
Wyatt too.
She's
That's
Wyatt.
actually her program. So she's
So-
multiple programs.
She's
So, in
As
the
everybody
context of
is.
the show, Ford, played by Anthony Hopkins, he is secretly starting a brand new storyline.
Storyline.
He called it a narrative, a brand new narrative,
Narrative.
right?
New
And
storyline.
there's this whole subplot of the board of directors and who's going to pay for this new narrative, and all. And it's really weird, like corporate speak, which is
Yeah.
in direct opposition to when they go out into the park, and it's the Old West, and the Old West is played for real up until like what episode was it where they're all in the bar and then the guys in the suits come in? Like that was pretty late in the game, right?
5
Yeah.
or 6.
Yeah, it took a
Yeah.
few hours for that to
Yeah.
happen. You
Yeah.
know, and that reminded you ever seen Dark City?
Yes.
Yes.
love that.
It reminded me of Dark City because
Yeah.
Dark City's about these aliens manipulating humans so that one of them will eventually fight back in a way that unlocks the potential of the human brain. Dark City's brilliant movie, right?
Brilliant.
Movie.
Absolutely.
It's The Matrix the year before The Matrix came out. So you see all the juxtaposition of the guys in the ET suits and their reprogramming, and we have Maeve. She's the madam at the brothel,
Who was
right?
also a mother at one point.
She was a mom with a child, and she keeps having flashbacks to the child being torn away from her, right? And
Which is what I think the problem is that all these hosts are starting to remember things, or they've been remembering things and storing it, and they can't get that information deleted from them, so it's
And they're breaking
now affecting
code.
them.
They're developing emotions, is what they're doing.
attachments,
Attachments.
right?
There's a big
So,
difference.
here's-
There's a big
here's-
difference.
I don't know. They're developing
This
emotions.
is my area. Like,
Here's
yeah.
the question:
Yeah.
Is that Ford's doing?
Well,
Arnold's doing?
Well, the program okay, if you look at her script on her little iPod,
Yeah,
thing,
they've shown
it
that-
says to at the end reject and escape, but she says with the piece of paper, "I'm not going to escape." She puts it back in the purse. She walks off the train and she goes to get her daughter.
Right, so-
she broke code.
So Maeve's-
is that
Broke the
Ford?
code. Yep.
We
Right.
don't know. Or
Right.
is
Yeah.
that actually the machine running itself?
Ooh, good question.
Right,
We
so
don't know.
right,
We
so
don't know.
Maeve's
question.
storyline is she starts out as the head of the brothel. Who was the girl? Clementine, was that
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Clementine's her lead girl.
Her baby.
And Maeve's a badass. Maeve is shown to be a
sure.
badass,
Definitely a
right?
badass.
it gets badder and assier.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
her.
what
And
she
brings other hosts with her.
she does is she figures out how to wake up in what she perceives to be hell, which is
Yeah.
the reprogramming area, and more importantly, the depository where they just throw the host when they're done. All the
Yeah.
bodies are just thrown and dragged and chopped up and regurgitated and
reprogrammed
reprogrammed, and
Fixed or-
Right.
they're all done in the nude because they're not humans. They have no humanity. At one point, Ford even chastises somebody for having them wear clothing. Why is it wearing clothing? Why is it wearing clothing, right?
Yes.
So Maeve figures out how to wake up and talk to the people that are tinkering with her brain.
While they're tinkering, yeah.
Right.
While
So
they're tinkering.
my big question is, and did I miss something? How did she convince the Asian technician? We saw him one
all
time
wanted
messing.
that.
He messed with a bird. He brought the bird back to life, which he wasn't supposed to do.
No.
And then one scene later, he is helping her raise up all her stats. And did I miss a scene?
Unless
Is it
he's
miss?
Ford is
in
directing
love
that.
with her.
He's in love with her.
In love with the fact that a robot can be human, and that he himself is helping to create life.
Is that it? He's in love with her?
Is he?
I don't know.
I don't
'Cause
know
I,
either.
I thought like I'd missed a scene.
I feel like Ford is behind all of that, actually.
It could be
Like
both.
letting that get by so that the actual hosts can break out.
Now, see, I'm with you on that because
my sense.
if you look at there's a scene. So what happens is Maeve is at one point reduced to pieces,
Yes.
skeletal pieces, and then brought back completely from scratch, better than she ever was, because Maeve is getting the hell out of Westworld.
Yes.
She's gonna step off the train in the real world, which we never get to see.
But she's
She
been
doesn't
told
get
she
there.
does that a few times, so we're not sure if that's just part of the programming or
Right.
if this is really her.
Right, but
program.
towards the end, you actually see the program, and I looked at the still,
Right.
and her escaping it's in the program.
It's in the program.
It's part
It's
of the
not.
program.
Right.
She's not doing anything that has. Did you ever see?
Because she's saying things, and as she's saying things, it's coming up on that pad,
Right.
whatever
Each
iPad
time,
for the
yeah.
Her
but like
escaping
a
is
half a second before she says it
Ford. I think Ford wants one of them to escape,
to
so
see what happens.
to see what happens,
Yeah.
because he's
Into
he's
the
Dr.
world?
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He wants to see what happens, right?
Or he wants the whole place by his death to just implode, and
Implode. That's it.
that's it. But that could be 5
Did
seasons from now.
Did you ever see Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise?
Yes, the one
No.
that
Wasn't that a
gets
soap
reborn
opera?
over and over again.
Fantastic movie, right?
Wow.
So there's a scene where they get to a farmhouse and they're trying to get into the city to kill. It doesn't matter. They're trying to get to the city to kill something, and every time he dies, the day starts over. So they're at the farmhouse with Emily Blunt, and he's making every excuse in the world not to leave the farmhouse. We could stay here, we could have drinks, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm going to go get in the helicopter, and we're going to fly the hell out of here. And finally he goes, you have to stop. You never make it past the helicopter. And she has to look at him, and you get the idea that he's done this dance 100 times or more, and he's watched the woman that he's come to love. In her idea, in her world, it's been a day. In his, it's been 10 years. And he's watching this woman that he's come to love die every single time. And he tells her, you never make it past the helicopter. And I think there's something to do with Maeve in that, where it's like, you never make it past the train, Maeve. How many times have we done this dance? How many times have you been programmed to escape? And yet the memory of your daughter and the tragedy on the field, the mother bond, puts her right back in the park. Because Maeve's on the train. She can go. And she doesn't go.
This is different this time.
This is
humans
different.
are dead. That's what's different.
Which human?
Well, the board has asked Ford to leave. So for the first time ever, you've got all these people being shot by hosts. That hasn't happened.
You're jumping to the end, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're sorry, spoiler, right? But
no, the whole thing's a spoiler.
well, right. But the reality is, that hasn't happened. So yeah, she's broken that code, but nobody's been killed. Now all these people are dying.
But I'll go back.
The champagne party is done.
You've watched it twice.
Yeah.
When they're making their escape, she makes her escape with this badass guy that you really feel for because he's been raped over and over again in his lifetime. Used and used and used. And then the snake girl, right? Mm-hmm. And as they're escaping through the bowels of Westworld's infrastructure, the guards are firing at them. Bang, 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 right? And we've been shown the whole time in the show that if a human shoots a host, they're dead. Right. If a host pulls a gun on a human, nothing happens. Right?
But they got the right guns this time.
They have the right guns this time.
I'm flipping the script.
Right.
The guards are shooting at the girl with the snake tattoo, and the bullets don't hit her.
They don't hit.
They hit the wall right next to her, but they don't hit her because their escape is part of the plan.
Okay.
It's all been predetermined. Yeah. In fact, it may have already happened 5 times.
But you can... That now you're saying that Ford's controlling the humans.
No, he's controlling their weapons.
The weapons.
But that seems a little harder to put into control than a
robot.
robot.
Let's talk about that.
I'm asking about the scene.
Right.
You got to watch the scene where she's caught in the door.
And the arm cuts off.
Right.
Yes, the bullets go right over her into the wall.
That's true.
How is that happening?
Okay. I had told you I had a lot of questions and I haven't even gotten to the big one.
It's just like Pulp Fiction, where the shots go past.
Right. You think God came down and moved the bullets?
Okay, here's the question. Is it Hollywood or is it the director doing this?
I don't know what you mean.
Is it Hollywood saying the good guy never gets hit? Or is there something about them not being hit for a reason?
No, I think that I think all the guards are in on it. I think they've been briefed, and it's a whole thing of will Maeve get on the train and actually go this time? How many things do we have to do
so it's a test.
to push Maeve out? And every time they do it, Maeve goes right back in. That's what I'm saying.
But
is that what's happened? I don't know.
And the actress actually says she doesn't know if she's in the next season. She really literally doesn't. Right?
Tandy Newton.
Yeah, she does not know.
Right.
She was great in it.
Well, she was.
I mean, how many?
Who can act naked?
She's walking around completely nude in that.
She
right?
rocks. You know what? I have more respect from her.
Me too.
For her than any other actress because she just.
It's a tough part.
She was a cool cat.
Mm-hmm.
She was a cool cat.
And I keep thinking that she's just continuing her Lady Macbeth character from Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh man, she did a beautiful.
You're the only one. We're the only ones that saw Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh my God, she did a beautiful.
With Dame Judi Dench, right?
Oh
Isn't she the Queen of the Galaxy?
Fine job, both of them actually. But yeah, she did an exceptional job in there, and I see her pulling that same ethereal quality right into this show.
No, I thought she was great.
Makes me love her even more.
Okay, so
big question though.
What's that?
The unfinished questions.
Uh-oh.
Well, there's a couple of them.
Okay.
You bring them up. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, okay. I have to say this out loud.
But it helps.
The continuity issue of not having a mole on the face of the
Will?
black man, Will, and like that should have happened. That drives me crazy. But who's left over? We have the sidekick, the young woman who was supposedly strangled by Bernard. We don't really know she's
Oh
dead.
yeah, that they just left that
Yeah,
on the
that was
on the
crazy,
yeah.
right?
She's murdered.
Her buddy who went down to go find her. We don't know about him.
Yeah.
Another.
Do you know he's a
third one-
Hemsworth?
That's a Hemsworth.
No.
I had no idea.
Really?
There's 3 of
As a
those
critter?
guys.
Yeah, there's
Look
three
at
of
that.
those.
Luke
Yeah.
Hemsworth.
Another Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Okay,
Luke.
They got one of them's Thor.
Luke
One of
Hemsworth,
them's
yeah.
Thor. One of them's the captain of the First Enterprise.
And now we got
now
Lou
these
Hemsworth.
what are the genes in that family?
Beautiful genes.
I really wanted that storyline
Continue.
resolved,
Yeah.
and they didn't
Yeah.
resolve it. No.
No, they didn't.
No, good.
What
I'm
was
glad
there?
you pulled
There's
that
another.
up.
There's another one too. I
Elsie.
can't think of it right. Oh, Elsie. Yeah, Elsie's
Well, that was
resolved.
it.
He's resolved. Unresolved. And the last one, and you all know what this is, right?
No.
What is the white body being developed? Is it for
I'm
doing
waiting.
a picture? Is he creating a host of himself to be killed by Dolores in the
Yes.
end scene?
Yes.
Or is it a host of something
Okay,
else?
so-
and I'm
Oh my
clear.
God.
Here's the problem I
Or
had.
is it a
Wondering
double
that.
Dolores? 'Cause
Okay.
there are 2 Doloreses, out there.
It's
there
a
are
double
2.
Dolores.
Well, no,
No.
that's already happened. We already know she saw herself in line at the Spanish parade.
That's true.
There are 2 Doloreses out there.
Yeah,
We know this.
yeah.
So
for
we
sure.
find out that there are older parts of the park
Yeah, right.
where storylines were used and then abandoned,
sure.
and Ford has kept an original 3D printer that makes hosts the old-fashioned way,
The
really slowly.
originals, yes.
And he's been using this lab to make his own hosts, and that's obviously where he made Bernard.
Yes.
And nobody knows about this, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. You have to take a train out and an elevator up into the forest. And there's a really great thing where they answer the question of, well, what if idiot tourists come into Westworld and start bragging about what's back at the hotel room and stuff? The hosts are programmed to simply ignore it. If it's not part of their storyline, they just ignore it. And guess where they got that from? Knott's Berry Farm. So, oh yeah. So there's a great scene where Bernard.
No, the line. The line is what is it again? Sorry, I just said this earlier tonight.
What's that?
It means nothing to me, or that means nothing to me.
That means not when Bernard asks.
When it's something that doesn't fit their story,
Dolores,
they're like, that means
Oh
something.
yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
it means
Yeah.
nothing to me.
So
Yeah.
Bernard takes his girlfriend, for lack of a better term, the chain smoking corporate woman, down to Ford's secret base. She goes, what is this door for? And he goes, I don't, what door? And at that moment I went, oh my God, Bernard's a host.
He's a
Really
host.
great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So she
I
gets
caught it at that time.
She
Yes.
gets lured in there, and 2 things happen. Ford is revealed to be a lot more diabolical than we thought. Bernard is a host, and the chain-smoking bored woman she's dead. She knows she's dead.
Teresa.
And Teresa.
Teresa.
And this is where I have a problem because of what you said. I love movies. You love movies, right? I love movies. I love movies that make sense, where they show you something and then it pays off later. This is just how cinema works. Teresa is supposed to die, and her last thing she sees is that machine making her.
I think that's
That's
her.
That's the
Yes.
easiest thing in the world. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Right, and you get then because not only
Yes.
do you get the irony of somebody going, "Oh great, I've been replaced, I'm dying," but then it begs the question: how many people are hosts? Is
Right.
everybody a host? Is Ford replacing everybody so that one day he just shuts the gates like Wonka and goes, "It's mine now, bitches," right? So.
Oh wait, woo, bitches!
But they didn't do that.
Little Charlie.
It really frustrated me.
Right.
No.
Because we never saw who was being made on that spindle.
It's Ford.
Here's a
Come
question,
on, you
though.
guys. Ford wasn't killed.
Is it that everybody that has passed in the past who has been very important has not been recreated to fool the public?
Right, to fool the public. Everything's fine. Nothing's
still
ever happened
there.
here. Right?
It's all good.
Okay, so then we're going to get to my big question. Help me answer this question, right? So
Who's real?
early in the show, Ford shows Bernard a picture of the founders of the park.
This is what, yeah.
And there's
Where you're
obviously
going.
somebody missing. Arnold is missing, right?
Or
Well,
Bernard.
we find out
Bernard's
eventually
missing.
that Bernard is an exact duplicate of Arnold.
Except not visually, right?
No,
No,
visually as
when
well.
they show the picture again, Bernard has now
There's
been...
3 men in that picture.
The third one is Bernard Arnold. It's the same
The
actor.
other two have been recreated. As
So here's
well,
my
I'm quite
question. Nobody ever saw Arnold back in the day?
We
Right.
have that issue.
Who's
So
Arnold?
That's a
That'd be like a Roy Disney robot walking around being called Floyd, and nobody goes, you know, he kind of looks like Roy
I'm sorry.
Disney.
Maybe I'm
sure.
mistaken.
In Star Trek, we call that Q.
Yeah, but you can't.
I thought
Everybody
Arnold, no.
knows.
The pictures of Arnold, he's obviously a Caucasian man that's older.
No.
And then they take him off and get his mannerisms to Bernard.
No, you missed it.
I
They
missed it.
show the
They
picture,
show-
Yeah, there's
and
two
it's a
guys,
black
right?
guy.
It's a
The
different
third one
guy.
is
Yeah, but the other guy was white.
Right.
No,
there's
it's-
No,
two.
that's what do you call him? The black man, the William.
That's Arnold.
Isn't that William? Isn't the third guy in there William?
No.
No, I think it's just some
Isn't
other
it
guy.
I thought
Arnold?
that was Arnold. That was what I assumed.
You know what?
So
We may
No.
Arnold, Bernard, and him.
No,
we might not know
no,
about
Bernard.
that guy yet.
No, well,
Oh.
We may not know about that guy, that third man. He may be a player in this that we do not know yet.
I thought he was.
but he looks just like Bernard.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that everybody who works there would go, he looks like the other guy.
Right. Who's to
Right.
say we don't have two of them?
Just like
That's
we
the
have
thing.
two. Just like we have 2 Doloreses.
Right.
We do have 2 Doloreses.
Right.
Well, no, that's fine because
Yeah.
they're hosts.
Right.
Bernard's a real to everybody.
The mechanical.
He's
one
a real
and the last
guy.
Mechanical one. Right.
He's a real guy to everybody. He's not a
Right.
robot.
Right.
He is now.
Okay, wait. Let's start over.
Okay.
Okay.
The show opens with Dolores being programmed by Arnold.
Right.
Right. Okay.
No, that's what I'm
Waking
getting.
up for the first time.
Right. Waking up for the first time.
Who's waking up for the first time?
There's the time she wakes up and she brings her
Dolores.
body up and she's like a mechanical piece.
And who's
underneath
standing
her
there?
face. I don't know. Wasn't it
Arnold.
Arnold is standing
Bernard.
there.
It's the same guy.
Right.
Except one's a robot and one's a real guy.
Right. But what I'm saying is
But is
that
that number 2?
That's number 2. Number 1 hasn't
That's
been
number
seen
2.
yet.
Yeah.
No.
That's number
Wait,
2.
wait, wait.
That's the
no,
second version.
I'm talking about at the office. If you go to your office and there's a guy that died 20 years ago and his picture's on the wall and then a new guy walks in with a different name but looks just like him, wouldn't you go,
Right.
he
That's
looks
him.
like the guy?
I'm
agree.
with you.
Yeah.
That's
There's a
that's
continuity issue there.
that's the
a
issue.
Huge
Yeah.
piece.
Who's
Right.
to say
But-
that there's not 2 of those?
Yeah,
like
there
Dolores.
could be 2. And
Well,
we
no,
might
no.
have been
But that
seeing
won't
him
make
wake
a
up the
difference.
no,
second
because the
time.
plot hinges on everybody thinking that Bernard is a real human.
That might be
Yeah.
the first plot, but who's to say there's not a second twist?
Right.
Well, that's
Well, I'm just saying that nobody would want to work with the guy. They'd go, this guy's obviously a doppelganger. He's a robot.
Right. As soon as
We
they,
work in a world of robots.
as soon as they give up that hope, then that guy is like whatever, and now he can do whatever he freaking pleases.
Well, Ford does whatever he wants anyways.
Right, and he's just got now-
I watched this really astute video on YouTube where when they come into his office, if you look at his desk, you can see the final massacre in model form. Like, there's no bones about it. All the hosts are coming up and the guests are over here. It's really...
Just like you see a Yul Brynner head in his office when you're coming in.
Well, when they look in the mirror in the basement, you see Yul Brynner behind him.
Right.
And you know where they got that from? They found a fan who built a full-size Yul Brynner where the face comes off, and they borrowed it for the show. That's fantastic.
I heard
Isn't that
about that.
fantastic?
But like we're all obsessed on this, so why are we all like? I'm sorry, I'm gonna just move it to a whole nother level. Why are we all obsessed?
Because I think
'Cause it's
there's
a
a third
mystery.
person.
Because
There's a
it's-
mystery to be solved.
Because this is going to sound really terrible.
No, I'm
Because
gonna go
we're
with that.
smart people and we like to be challenged.
Right.
We like to be. Look, I could watch a show where somebody walks in and goes, "I ran out of pie," and everybody goes, "Wah!" and they laugh like it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. I don't watch those shows. I don't watch anything with a laugh track or Charlie Sheen or Wacky Neighbors. I don't watch any of that. I watch shows where I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm a reasonably intelligent person, and I like to be challenged. The movies I like are the movies that everybody thinks is about one thing, but it's really about another. Oh, it's like Amadeus? Yeah, it's about the composer. No, it's not about the composer. What's called Amadeus? It's about Salieri's fight with God over whether he can be as good as Mozart can be. Did you watch the movie? It's called Subtext. I love subtext. I want movies that are deeper and bigger. This one, for all its flaws, it's still a really good show.
What
Yeah.
we do. I mean, I hate to even go business here, but for a living, that's my living, is taking trauma and titrating it down.
Yeah, you said this show was like watching a documentary. Like,
Well, it's like
they're programming.
It's actually like a therapeutic
It
session.
is
Yeah.
a very.
And
It is.
we can
Multiple
neurologically
personalities.
change how we learn and how we continue to express trauma or reenactment or not. And I love the fact that I love that. My favorite part of this entire show is when they pulled the dials down.
Yeah.
It was like,
For me?
oh yeah, no, like you're
All-
expressing all this
Meg
emotional
especially,
trauma,
yes.
and
Well,
you're
it
saying,
brought
like,
hers up,
stop
or
it.
Right.
And we can do that. We can actually make decisions on how and what we pay attention to and what our intentions are. And I think the difference right now, that's our whole lives right now, is like, I'm sorry, I'm like talking from a whole
No,
nother place,
it's
but
about reality.
it's like, how do you express intention or attention? And that's what this show keeps playing on. What's these people's intentions, or what are we like paying attention to?
Right. Well, and
I'm
also
constantly playing with that idea.
it's interesting because it sets up disposable people who are then treated like garbage.
Which is our world right
and the
now.
question
Like, it really
and the
is a
question
larger
is,
level.
do you
Yeah.
feel bad for them?
yeah.
Right.
Is
You know what I
there
mean?
compassion?
Yeah.
Is
Do you
there
have
not?
compa-
Is
th-
there empathy?
th-
Is
they're
there
not-
sympathy? Is there attachment? What are
Right.
we about?
They're not real people.
Well, that's what
Right.
Will and
They're
Dolores is all
things.
about. You know,
Yeah, it's
if
all
that
about-
person acts completely real in every situation and has feelings for you,
Is
and
it
you
real?
fall in love with that person, but they're not real. Is your love real?
Look how long it took for William to kiss her on the train.
Right.
Wow.
Like it was a
Yes.
long road to get
He
to
was
that.
he was
It
falling
was-
in real love with
Right.
her.
Yeah.
Not,
And-
not
and-
the lust that everyone else goes
No,
there for.
he had real emotions for her,
Yes,
and
he
I
did.
think his emotions for her are what turned him into the Man in Black, because he despised himself for falling in love with a machine. Because
yeah.
he killed her again and again. The woman that he loved,
Raped her and
he
killed her.
raped and
Raped her
killed
and
her
killed her.
again and again. He would find ways to meet her. She didn't know who he was.
Right.
He knows everything about her, and he would take her to the barn, rape her, murder her, leave her for dead.
And-
Rage
and
against
men-
the machine. He was raging at
Yeah.
himself
Oh, yeah.
for his own shame of being attached to a machine. It was
Oh,
that
yeah.
simple.
But he would also mentally mess with her head.
Yeah. Oh,
Also,
yeah.
Plus,
but-
yeah.
there's also something to the fact of, was he jealous? Here he
That he
is.
could
He
never-
goes from a
Right,
virile
right.
young man to this old grizzled codger, and she's still as beautiful as day one.
And
See,
still
Wouldn't that
love with
piss
the
you
other
off?
guy.
It's just got James Marsden, ex-Mr.
James
Superman.
Marsden.
James
Are you
Martin, we didn't even
serious?
bring him in. He's
Who's
got
that? Wait, who's that? The X-Men guy. He was Captain America.
the,
How
what was
could you
what
miss
was his
that?
name in the show?
James Marsden.
He
And
kept
then he's
getting-
Captain
he-
America.
No, he was Cyclops.
Was he Cyclops?
Yeah.
Wait, is that Cyclops guy?
Yeah, he's Cyclops. But he
Yeah,
kept like
that's
he.
the Cyclops guy.
It was what I thought was interesting about James Marsden's character was, here's a guy who's used to playing the hero.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of big movies, and in this show, he got beat up again and again and again.
No longer the hero.
No, he wasn't a hero
He
at all.
falls
No.
every time.
Dolores is the only hero
But
I
you
think
know
in the
what?
show.
In the end, I think he will be the hero.
He might be.
He will
And
be.
you know what was interesting? Watching the show and the finale episode.
I know I told you.
And I know we're jumping around a lot, but it
Teddy
don't matter.
Flood, sorry.
Teddy.
There he is.
The scene with them huddled together and in an embrace.
oh wow.
Yeah.
It was
beautiful.
beautiful. But I was watching it and I was saying to myself, why are they doing this? There's no people around.
It's gonna screw them up in the head.
They should just be docile and
Not moving.
not
talking,
moving.
do
But
anything.
then it pulled back and there was a whole audience watching it, which was really
Right, that was
funny.
fantastic.
Really
It was actually
funny.
fantastic.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't get in the show,
made it-
correct me if I'm wrong, there was never a scene where we saw like the saloon and everybody's motionless until a human comes in. That never happened in the show, right?
No,
They're
no,
always
no.
in motion.
Yeah.
Emotion.
They're always in motion,
Like a
right?
machine continually moving until the person observes it.
Yeah. They're going
Yeah,
about their
again,
story no
Kurt-
matter what.
Kurt Vonnegut, who I couldn't bring up earlier, that was the one that wrote the whole thing
Yeah,
about the piano
yeah.
being always in motion.
Always.
Right.
in
The
motion.
question is,
Yeah.
will Dolores drop the can if there's no guest there?
No, she will
Yeah, well,
always.
She
drop
drops
the
it every
can.
time, right?
Every time.
But I
Right.
love the idea at the end that there is like that we're witnessing this conclusion, this satisfactoriness to all our humanity, that there's a finish, but But it's not a finish.
But is it
No,
really?
no.
Yeah,
It's not a finish.
it's
No.
never a
Because
finish.
The
It'll
curtain
happen
comes
again
down.
tomorrow.
Right.
The
And
curtain comes
scene,
down,
scene.
and they're resetting for the
Right.
next
For
act.
tomorrow.
That's all it
And you're
was.
like,
Exactly.
that was
So
it.
here's my other
More
big
Shakespeare.
here's my other big question about it.
Thank you.
We see William and his brother-in-law to be,
Oh, when he
Right.
rides off into
and they have this big adventure.
Oh my god,
and
that's
the,
the unfinished business.
the
by
idea
way.
is that the further they go out into Westworld,
Right,
the
the
more
beach.
dangerous.
Right.
The hosts go from being
Unknown.
damsels in distress or people looking for treasure to cannibals, Indians, savages. You're going to get killed. You're going to die. And the question I have is,
adventure.
what's the safe word? They never said there was a safe word.
Boysenberry.
Because because that guy that's with William,
Well, he's actually naked with a feather, like out. What did he die?
that's
unfinished.
there's my question.
and how did he
That's what
take
he's saying.
over?
That's,
How did
that's my
Unfinished.
question because
Well, where's
There
Boysenberry?
was a
Putin that was naked from the. No,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. No, the question I have is, at any point in the game, what do you do? Okay, here example. You're on a day trip. You've spent $40,000. By hour 9, you are at the end of a gorge, and they're firing guns at you, and you just want to be by the pool. So what do you say that gets you from there to the pool? Because it has to happen.
Apparently he
They're
didn't make
on
it.
It's not there.
They're on vacation. They never show it, right?
Apparently he didn't make it.
It's not even talked about.
I wanted
He
to
could've
know
been
about
killed.
that.
I think you have to stay 24 hours. It's just the rule.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah, but rich guys wouldn't put up with it. Not everybody's William.
Is the Boysenberry rule applicant to everyone?
Ooh,
What do you mean?
A safe word?
The safe
The
word?
safe word.
It has to be.
How?
Well,
how?
Because they're dumb tourists. There's got to be a
He
point
got
where they
cut,
get
though.
in
He
over their
got
head.
physically
He got
cut.
slashed in
That's
the
what I'm
face.
saying.
But
Right.
At that,
you're rationalizing.
Maybe
I know, I know.
In
He
a
could be a
real world,
stockholder.
but
Wait.
it's not
He
a
might
real
not
world.
be technically a guest. He could be a corporate
He
guest.
owns it.
And that's a whole
Yeah.
other level.
By the end of the
So
show-
therefore you're slashed and beaten up
well,
and slapped around.
William's
Okay.
William's about to get hung. When the girl from corporate comes out and he goes, "Look, I pay a lot of money to be left alone here, so quit bothering me." And the guy's about to get hung. So William's the guy at the arcade that I always looked up to. He's got the high score on every game.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not William.
Yep.
I want to know what happens when I am cornered and I've got a gun and I have to go to the bathroom and I just want to go back to the pool. And they never brought that up. And the only reason I bring it up is they made such a point to show the pool.
Right.
They showed the pool. They showed the open bar, and I always wanted I just wanted to see
Well,
some guy
wait,
going,
we're
"Look, I got to get back out
wait,
there."
Wait, we're making an assumption that was for the guests.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Like,
totally
we
am.
saw the employee
It's not for the
was
host,
there.
still Russ.
So maybe
in the
was
pool.
that for the employees,
Right,
not
right.
the guests?
No, right.
Right. It
It-
probably was actually
Right.
because it's the only place you can go.
Exactly.
It begs
Right.
the question, right?
Right?
It
Now,
begs
is-
the question.
Is there a higher word? Is there a bigger word that might stop everything?
Oh, there has to be.
Right. Who
And
knows
keeping
it?
in mind that Boysenberry is actually another Knots reference. in my
Yes,
mind.
yes,
It's his out for trap.
yes.
The season 2
You guys are
spoilers
with me.
revolve around the fact that, according to Lisa Joy, that they do not need oxygen to sustain their brain power.
Right.
And also, they're going to get more into the power source.
Oh, that's interesting.
Explain
Ouch,
more.
ouch,
Explain
ouch.
more.
What powers them? What batteries?
Yeah.
What do they have?
Right.
Because we need those on our cell phones quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
These
Or what
posts
can
last
interfere?
forever.
What do they need to keep
Because-
going?
because
Oh,
they-
I didn't think
they-
of that.
the-
Oh my gosh.
They at one point they show the Hunger Games 3D map of Westworld,
Yeah.
right? Which I really disliked because it's just so cliched. And then the writer guy takes a whiz on it.
I know.
Like, this is so stupid, right?
What powers these guys?
We don't know because there's the question is once. Okay, in the finale, the security room gets locked down. Remember that? And they never go
Yeah.
back to it.
Right.
Because what you're saying, once they start firing real bullets at everybody and shooting people, there's got to be a switch that goes, look, we got to turn the whole park off, folks.
Right.
And it's a big Frankenstein switch that goes
There's
click,
gotta
and
be.
they all power down. There has to be.
Gotta be.
There has to be.
Well, okay, in a rational world
no
again.
sane human
Right.
would
But-
not create such a
Right.
switch.
But,
Right.
you know, until it's
It's the
thrown
Jurassic
at us-
Park because even
Right.
in
Okay.
Jurassic Park, same writer, he says the animals can't survive more than a day or two without lysine.
Okay, here's a question.
We deny them lysine. If they don't get lysine in their food, they're going to die.
What if we say
Right.
that humans are not worthy and lysine is good, and we allow these guys to continue beyond us? Could they have not created a switch? Could they have not thought of that? Could they have not?
Yeah, they could back up to a power source and get recharged that we don't know anything about. But again,
They could move on.
you know,
Right. It begs the question of, in a season 2, are we going to see hosts hiding out from the guests and tinkering with the insides of the other people? And like one guy said, look, I found a way, and if we switch this out, and there's like a pile of discarded bodies of the ones that didn't make it, is that what we're building
Or
towards?
swapping out a recharge double or something like that.
Swapping
but-
out a recharge double.
There was a rumor that they were going to pull back and show that Westworld was like on an asteroid. Did you ever read that?
No. That's odd.
That
That's
it's not
odd.
on
That's weird.
Earth, and that's how the robots can't get to Earth.
I think that's a little bit of a fan fiction fantasy that might just be a little outdated. I think that if you pull a little, we're on a comet flying through Earth, that'd just be a little bit like, oh look, UFOs over
Right.
here
Well,
on
they did that
Mars.
with Dark City. I mean, that was the big pull
Yeah.
of Dark
Kinda jump
City.
on the shark.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's.
But here's the
Wait,
thing.
You
There-
said
too
that,
early
and
for that.
I want to. You please explain what jumping the shark for you meant for this show.
Right.
Because
What
you
was
told me
mean?
that personally, and
Oh,
I
no,
don't
jumping
know
the-
You were like, "Oh, the show jumped the shark," and I'm like, "I don't think so," and you're like, "I do."
I don't remember. What did I say?
You just said that. You said, "I think at the end,
Oh,
the conclusion jumped the shark." And
No,
was like,
to me, the big. It's not jumping the shark. To me, the point where they went beyond what they could explain was the Bernard thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't just have the guy
Right.
look like the other guy. That
I don't
boggles
think he
my.
did. I
Because
really think he's
here's
No,
the,
that bothered me too.
if I did that as a writer, to me it would be a cop out.
Right. Okay.
Because
buy that.
we're not talking about an unknown person. We're talking about, in their world, arguably the most famous people of the last 40 years. They built this park that everybody loves and wants to go to and aspires to da-da-da-da-da, and all of a sudden nobody remembers what Arnold looked like. That's
Right.
the issue. Unless they address it, that's the part that's going to stick with me the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe the Arnold guy was such an inferior kind of person that nobody noticed, and they played upon that.
But we met Arnold, and
Yeah.
Arnold was like this. He's the guy. I mean, he just seems so.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's one of those things where I'm only angry about it because I really like the show,
Yeah.
and I want more out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can do better than it. It's like Kathy Bates. He didn't get out of the car. In Misery, he didn't get out of the car. You can't write it that
Right.
we watched him. The
Right.
car went over the cliff, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it jumped the shark at any point.
No.
Because I think that Dolores blowing a hole in Ford's head is all fake. I think he's
Yeah.
sitting somewhere having a cup of tea.
That was his
Is everybody in
doppelganger.
agreement with this? That
Oh,
that-
Ford's
he
not
was-
dead.
He's alive, and the machine was the host.
All hands
Absolutely.
up. That was a
Yeah.
Absolutely.
doppelganger. That was totally a
Doppelganger.
doppelganger. Yeah.
You're talking about a guy who fancied himself God.
Oh God.
There's
he probably
no
has 5
way-
of
Who can
himself.
comfortably sit there and be like, "Sure, I'm gonna."
Well,
be
he made a
here."
child version of himself.
You know, he
Right.
may have
Right.
made quite a
Yes,
few
he did.
versions of himself.
Which was a great scene when they
Yeah.
finally pulled the face off and
Yeah.
all that,
Oh,
right?
that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was one of the better pieces,
But he's
actually.
if he had been a tortured soul, I get it.
Yeah.
But nobody that confident and cocky, and I mean, he really did think of himself as God. Look at what I've wrought here, everyone. Look at my office with all the heads.
Yeah.
There's no way a guy like that allows himself to be taken out like that.
That
He would
office was
love
wonderful.
people to think he was taken out like that so that he could pull back and unveil whatever his next level
Right.
creation is. I get that,
Smart. Smart.
Okay, the acting.
Shanghai.
Smart.
Sorry.
Shanghai's Eastworld.
My favorite part, though, like the piano player, the first generation guy that was doing that, who'd acted in a few
Oh,
other
he
things,
was a
right?
beautiful.
That
That was a
guy,
beautiful piece.
Are you talking about the guy down in the basement?
Yeah.
The old man.
You know who that
played the
was?
Piano, his best friend.
That's the guy from The Crow.
What?
But he'd also acted before in other.
Oh, he was in
yeah.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He's the sheriff of Nottingham's right-hand man.
Why does he keep him
Toast
around?
to the lady in white. or
He was
whatever, yeah.
great, yeah.
Why
Entertainment.
does he
He
keep
keeps
him
him around for
mannerisms,
nostalgia.
Or even
Yeah.
the father.
Right,
the
but
father.
There's something bigger than that there.
You think so?
I think so.
What, say
The
that
reason
again?
for keeping him
For
there?
keeping him there, there's a reason. And I think what it is is that he's comparing the old version of the robot version to the new
Hosts?
empirical version of the hosts. So he's I think he's comparing.
Well, I think
the
it's like
originals.
Captain Picard having all the previous ships in
Right.
his room. You're like,
Which one's
this is
best?
where we came from.
Which one made the
and
best
look where
sense?
look where we're going, right?
But not only that, but there's something back when you think about what you do in history. You learn from that.
Oh yeah, even if it's bad, you learn from
Right.
mistakes.
Did you notice that he constantly asks questions to that man? He's questioning that man. What do you think about this? And while he's playing the piano, and he'll respond, and his thoughts versus the Ford's thoughts versus the thoughts of the future people. There's differences, and I think he's learning from the past to produce the future.
No, I would agree with that. Sure. Yeah, sure.
I think
that's
that
the
guy
whole
is
idea.
very important. I think that guy is extremely important to this whole scene.
Maybe it's his only buddy.
Psychologically, trauma
person he trusts.
reenactment. You either continue to do what has been done, or you create new neural networks and break out. So
He
that's
might
the
be
whole,
comparing.
That's actually what healing is.
That's what he's doing. He's healing.
You cut yourself. Your body's going to move toward healing versus like trying unless you pick at the scab,
Well,
right? So that's the whole process.
In
of
the
this,
context of
right?
the show, there's a reason
Right.
why they don't just chop up the old hosts.
Just
They
kill
put
them.
them
Right.
down in the basement,
Right.
standing there nude.
Use them for something.
They use it for something,
Something,
research, a reminder. I mean, there's
Pillars.
a reason why they're down there, not just because it
Rebuilds.
looks cool in the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because
Until they're all gone.
Oh,
the
they're
pen,
gone, yeah,
the
yeah.
pen is gone.
We are
And they're all
so
coming into the
screwed.
champagne party and it's all another
Oh,
level.
we are so screwed.
Yep.
Because those original people know things that the future people don't.
Right.
Yeah.
The Sharknado of hosts is what it is.
They're- I think,
Ah, Dan!
sure enough.
Sharknado!
I really do believe that the older hosts know something that the newer hosts don't. And
Agreed.
that is imperative.
Agreed.
Well,
to
I would
what's happening.
I would imagine that their violence meters are totally off the charts versus
yeah.
the newer, safer model, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's
something
reactive,
different.
but then there's integrative.
There's
And like
something
they're
different.
integrative, they're going to take it to a whole new level.
Right, and I think that's what the original creators of this had thought, that, wow, once we create something that's learned something, let's figure out what the past has got to the future.
You reorganize, you integrate. Right.
Bingo.
That's
Also-
trauma theory.
If they have different versions of them, they might have different power sources. You can't just throw one switch and they all go down. You've got multiple forces.
Oh my God.
Right. Well,
Oh my
was
God.
that was the plot of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh my God.
That's
si-
so good!
Oh,
The
that's
Cylons,
good!
the
Yeah,
Cylons
that's
had
it.
control of anything,
Yes.
anything modern. So they had to go back to the Galactica because it was all analog.
Oh
that
my
was
God.
the reason given. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
Well, we'll find out.
Wow.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
This
We will.
is HBO, man. We're not going to get season 2 until
2018.
2018. But here's what they do. I was going to bring this up earlier. Here's what HBO does. They present a show that on the surface looks like one thing. So Westworld looks like a Western where people are having a good time and there's all these. I mean, there's a bank rob at one point. They steal the safe, right?
Yeah.
And then as the episodes go, the show gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Like, I really disliked the red that they wore down below. I just didn't like it. It looked cheesy to me, right? But it was very stark in contrast to what the other parts of the show look like. And this is the same thing they did with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones started out as a gritty medieval show, and then all of a sudden there's magic and dragons, and it's too late. Now you're hooked.
Right.
By the way, you're a sucker. You're a
Right.
nerd, right?
That's why they don't need to answer any of these questions, because we're still going to sit through
Yeah,
it.
because we like all this
Right.
stuff, right? But that's how they hook the casual viewer who says, "Well, I don't watch any of that nerd stuff. This is a show about the Old West robots." What? So I do like the way they do
Yeah.
that. I like the way they have the fish in the bag in the tank for a while before they just let it go, right? They let all the casual viewers look around a while before they unleash what we all nerds know. What's about robots? We know because we've seen Westworld, right?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Will Richard Benjamin show up? That's the question.
Afraid not.
You'll
I
run
love-
or will he show up?
Yeah,
Well, he did.
Well,
But Richard Benjamin's still alive. Is he
Wasn't
alive
he
or
a
dead?
Greenstone
He's
Woman?
alive, right?
I don't know.
He's alive.
I think he's still around. I think
Also,
he's
you've
still
got the
around.
sequel, Future World. I haven't looked that up. but
Yeah,
that
we
was-
haven't
I just
seen
want
Oh no,
Logan's Run. I want the
Future
stone
World
in
was
my
great.
hand.
Now, Future World was like every other of these sequels done on the cheap, very cheap compared to the first film. But Future World's plot is, does it even sound familiar? They invite all of these important people, rich people, come to Future World, experience your space dreams, and then one by one, they are replaced with robots, and the robots are sent back into the world to take over.
Ouch.
That's the plot of Future World.
Could be.
So maybe that's season 2, right?
Right.
Yep.
3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah, right.
You know what?
Listen, I can't commit 10 years to
I
this
know.
show.
I just hope I'm alive to see the end.
You know what?
When they announced the end of Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, thank God, please. Not that I don't like Game of Thrones, but I just would like to put a cap on this and watch
Right.
something else.
Yeah, you're right. But you know, if you think about that, if you put a cap on something, then you can't come back to it in the future.
Oh, forget about it. Abrams has just said this week he
Yeah.
could bring Lost back.
True. But you got to remember
listen,
too
you
that
won't
the
have
cap
the
they put
audience.
on that was perfect. He put a beautiful cap on it that he could remove and continue.
Oh, I hope
You
not.
got to make.
I'll
sure
find
at least
him.
a
No, you
few-
can bring Will and Grace back. You can't bring Lost back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we'd be pulling off the scab and healing would not occur.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
matter.
won't
You know
occur.
what? Even if you pull off the scab, the blood flows.
Did
That's
you
what
see?
you're looking for.
Did you see? What's his name? Michael Scott, Steve Carell from The
he's
Office.
great. He's
He was
great.
on Twitter and
Yeah.
he said, "So excited to announce the return of The Office to NBC."
Wow.
And people erupted, and he went, "Oops, I meant Will and Grace. Sorry."
Oh.
So
Wow.
episodes.
listen, I don't think you can go home again on a lot of this stuff.
Wow.
I
That-
don't.
That may not have been a mistake.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
Which
think
part?
about The
fact
Office.
that about the,
He's too expensive. He's
that
too
may-
expensive.
No, that still may have not have been. You know what? That may have been a phishing scam. That may have been.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
PHISH, phishing.
But he's the reason The Office went off the air, because he wanted to spend more time in his general store.
Right. Who's to say he hasn't spent time and he's going
It's-
back? Come
right.
on. You
Well,
never know.
That's enough
hey,
time.
any last thoughts on Westworld? And the irony being, you guys, your last name is West.
Oh, there you go.
And I
Come
live
on,
in
West.
this world.
And your parents, your
Just saying.
parents sold the Crichton house, your house, or whatever. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I'm really happy we did this.
Awesome. So the Wests are satisfied.
I thought it was a great show. It kept me going back. There are some shows that I've given a shot to. I tried that Mr. Robot show,
No.
and I hated every
Dan,
character.
Mr. Robot.
Oh, I love Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Love him. Was not enough.
Well,
Every
not
character
enough.
on that show is reprehensible.
Not enough.
Awful
Not
people
redeemable
doing
people.
awful things to each other. And at one point I
Not
was
enough
like,
redemption.
why am I watching this? I don't care
Yeah.
about
I
these
think they
people.
should bring back that 6 Feet Under show.
Oh my
I
God.
loved that show.
Maybe we can get you into Vikings. How's that?
Maybe I can watch
show.
Vikings. 6 Feet Under ended definitively, Rachel.
No, I don't care.
Have you seen 6 Feet Under?
I love that.
It's about people who run a mortuary, right?
I know that
it's
much.
death-
The last
It's my-
the last 4 minutes of the show is a
Well, you're gonna spoil
hu-
the last 4 minutes of the
the
show?
ended over a decade
Oh.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is a
alright.
sped up montage of everybody on the show to their deaths.
But I appreciated that.
So
I appreciated that
I
too.
so
But-
fucking appreciated
That was so beautiful.
why you got to drop an F-bomb at the hour mark?
Well, they can
Of
go
the
on
final
with their
show?
future.
Yeah.
Their kids or something.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know.
I
That's the
was just
jumping of the
so
shark. It's like we
good.
got
I mean,
nothing
yeah.
else to do. Let's get out of here and.
If there's
the
one
same
show,
thing.
there's one show I would love for them to bring back, and that's Firefly. But Ron Glass just died, so
Oh.
the shepherd is gone. So that's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Long live the shepherd.
Long live the shepherd, right?
I'm
They're
glad
they're
Ron
rebooting
Glass is
Battlestar Galactica, so and I was like, didn't we already have everything we needed to say about Cylons? We did.
No, we can talk more about
No,
that.
we did it. And that show did the impossible.
It went to Universal Studios.
It made me like Edward James Olmos.
Oh.
Can't stand the man. I thought he was brilliant as Adama. I could do an hour on that easy. That was a great show. But bringing it back again? How about something new?
That'd be an idea. Yeah.
How about something new?
Something
Something
new.
new.
Or
Bring it on.
if you're gonna bring it back, bring something back in like Westworld in a totally different way, where it's not just the same thing.
Lancelot Link, secret chip.
Lancelot Link. I was at the movies. I went to the movies day before yesterday, and I saw the coming attractions for this summer, and it was just a little snippet of them, but it was Cars 3 and Despicable Me 3 and a couple others, and I thought, we are about 5 years away from the summer being the same 10 movies again.
Number 6,
and
number 8,
yes,
number 4, number 3, number 9.
because we have another friggin' Star Wars movie coming out.
What?
Another stupid Star Wars movie.
Oh,
And
What's
another
it called what?
The Last Jedi.
think of
Wow.
something- Come on, people. Come up with something new, please.
Forms a
Please,
sense
please.
of the
Come on,
film.
people.
Oh my god.
Reruns are getting tough.
The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. That's good. Okay.
Now, I appreciate Westworld for being new
New and different.
and different.
That's what I asked.
What will happen to
Please.
Sky Cabin?
Oh, come on, give it up, give it up. We're
Sky
moving on
Captain
now.
and the World of Tomorrow. That movie bombed.
No, the not Sky Cabin.
I can't talk about
What
that.
will
I have no
happen?
idea.
Okay.
Well, that's another part we'll have to discuss next summer.
How much have you had to drink?
Nothing.
Too much.
You're discussing
Too
that
much.
like we're like,
No, but
is
that's
it
not.
still stuck in the same position? I guess it is.
You're involved in. You help people with their feelings,
I help people with their trauma.
with their trauma.
Yeah.
Did you see Split?
Oh, boy.
No, I have not
No,
yet.
please
Because
don't see
First off, I
Split.
don't think it's going to even really actually talk about dissociative disorder properly, and it's just going to glorify a bunch of crap. So I'm not willing to see that. But I might be wrong about this.
I
so
don't
you
know
tell me
about that.
differently.
I don't know about that.
It just makes money and it's silly because there's 24
it's
personalities.
glorifying what really happens in dissociation.
I would like you to see it,
We'll
so,
talk later.
so we could do a whole episode
we'll have a
on
whole
it.
other episode on
Because
this.
my take would be different than your take.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
I bet.
So we're going to cease all
Sky
motor
Cabin.
functions
What's the matter
now.
with Sky Cabin?
We're going to cease all motor functions now. And here's the thing: as a red-blooded male, I remember watching Westworld, going, "Why is Dolores always wearing clothes when she's being programmed? The rest of them are naked." It took a long time for Dolores to be
I
naked,
didn't
right?
think of that. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Dolores! I watched the whole thing, and it's
Look
like
at her hair covering.
there's a lot of naked men.
No, she was always in clothing.
She was in blue.
No.
Bernard.
You know what?
Oh, when Ford programmed her, she was naked. But it took like
But
5
she-
or 6 episodes.
Still the hair was covering.
Oh yeah, no, that's
She was
fine.
in
Yeah.
clothing, even
I don't
there.
mind that.
No.
It was. I think that should have been what tipped me off that we were watching a different timeline
Yes.
in the beginning when
And
she
it
was
did
clothed
not.
every time she sat down with
Yes.
Arnold.
Dress versus.
Or
Yes.
different clothes.
Yeah,
But
that-
let's not keep getting into it, do we?
I don't care.
All
It's
right.
all
Well,
good,
You know
right?
what?
Let's talk
If
about
you-
her. Let's talk about her
if you
clothing
think about
choices.
that, that is very important in a sense that when you think of a character being just a thing versus somebody who is a someone, I think she was a someone to him versus a
Oh,
thing.
definitely. Oh yeah. He was in love with Dolores.
Right. So
He was in love.
didn't want to see
and
her
you know what?
naked.
We may find out that he made her in the image of somebody he
Of his
really loved.
girlfriend-
Right.
his wife, the
Absolutely.
mother of his
She was the
child.
first one.
I totally get that. Absolutely.
So
What
I
do we
think the
first
clothing
begin to
is very
covet?
important.
That
Her
things
school
that we
teacher.
see every day.
Very
You
important.
know,
Yeah.
that was Hannibal
You know
Lecter.
what, if we wanna-
Hey, that's Mr. Ford. He had a,
Same difference.
what do we first begin to covet, Clarice?
He's
What we
beans
see
are
every.
cold.
That's right.
Yes. Don't want to get her
Are we
clothes, of
okay to
course.
go?
Where?
Clarice, are we?
We're gonna wrap up. Yes, I want to thank everybody for hanging out for Westworld.
Thank you very much.
We've only scratched the surface. I'm sure everybody who's listening is like, "What about this? What about that? What about the head of the Resistance Army? Remember
the black
him?
man owning how much of the park?
Oh my gosh! How
Yeah,
many other people?
the Man in
own
Black,
park?
right?
Man in Black owns.
Right.
He's 51%.
What
don't
about the
know.
What about the little girl who suddenly started talking about the?
Oh my
The
goodness.
maze.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
I love that portion.
yeah.
That was crazy.
Now the
And are
owners,
the dogs robots?
the owners of the park, who is not the Man in Black. How many more are there, and how involved are they?
Well, there's a board, but
Okay.
he's the head of the board. It's
Right.
his park.
But
Yeah.
how
That was pretty obvious by the
How involved
end.
are the rest of the people, and how much do they have influence on this?
Right. Well, that begs the question because they were constantly harassing Ford, and he just did whatever he wanted. He resurrected Sweetwater or whatever the town was. What was it called?
Right? Could anybody else do that too?
No,
Now,
only
why
Ford.
not?
Because he'd kill him. And then you make a robot out of him.
Does
Okay,
that-
now there's a whole
Because
nother story.
because
everything.
because he has the only level of authority that says, look, just leave me alone, I'm doing this. Everybody else needs 10 levels of approval. Ford doesn't need that. He's redirecting all these resources to resurrect this town. I mean, were you shocked when you found out that the little boy in the desert was a robot?
Right.
Now here's a question.
I thought he was a kid on vacation.
Right.
I had no idea.
immediately.
Now,
I
how
immediately
does
got that.
Ford know anybody else doesn't have the power?
Because he's
He doesn't, but he's arrogant enough to think that if they did, he would
Right.
know.
So there
Yeah.
we have a Q factor going on, that there's a potential that we could have another antagonist enter the.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
I would love
We're
that.
gonna have another
That would be
antagonist
great.
come in.
It'll happen.
You know, if they got Ian McKellen to show up,
Oh, I would love it.
you know what I mean? It's
would,
like
I would praise
I'm here
that.
to put the park
I'm
back
in.
on track.
Bring
you know,
bring on Ian McKellen.
Wouldn't that be
I
great?
am happy. I'll watch for the rest.
Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, somebody
Bring
with
it
weight,
on.
Malcolm
Bring it
McDowell.
on. Bring it on.
You know,
Bring it on.
somebody who could really mix it up.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah.
who wasn't so benign. Like somebody really like, I'm here to screw everything up.
Yeah.
I would love that. Let's hope that season 2 brings that. So, hey, I want to thank everybody for hanging out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go around the room. Do you have anything to plug?
No, but one last weird thought.
Yes.
Please.
I love it.
Dolores. In Spanish, especially in Mexico, you normally have a second name that you're known by. So Jose, the name is Pepe. For Dolores, the name is Lolita.
Oh, is it really? Lolita.
Are you totally serious?
No.
Which means
Nothing right now.
Uh-huh.
But it's there if they want to pick it up and use it in their story.
Sure. Well,
crap.
nothing on this show was done by accident. Yeah, I believe that. Like everything was
Lolita.
carefully thought out.
Lolita is usually the loose one.
No, Lolita.
She's the enticer.
Vladimir
She's the
Nabokov
enticer.
And his Lolita.
Yeah.
Or there's also Lola.
She's the forbidden fruit.
Forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. Anything you want to plug? You're an artist.
Yeah.
Is your art available somewhere?
You know, honestly, I've noticed that when they build the town, they do it in 3-dimensional and do it in a very small environment. And you notice that Ford was trying to explode and expand the town. Okay, we haven't seen what they already had.
Right. What else is in Westworld? Sure.
No, not Westworld. What was in Eastworld, Southworld, Northworld?
Oh yeah, no, we didn't tell
Now,
us until the
here's
very
a-
end.
Here's a question. Will they or did they eventually or pre-involve North, South, East worlds involved in Westworld, and will they incorporate the mix of perhaps...
Oh, I'd love to see a moment where everything breaks loose and all the armies from all the different lands come together.
Hello?
Oh, that would be the
That
greatest.
could be the culmination of the whole.
That's the finale,
show.
right?
Can we just say ouch?
Yeah, that's the finale
Oh, ouch.
of somebody trying to get out. That many getting away from that. I mean, that's the plot of the first film, right?
Right.
He goes through all the worlds.
Right.
So, anything to plug? Anybody? Anyone?
I'm good. I've been
we're
plugged.
all good.
All right.
I've been
Happy here.
plugged plenty of
We've
times.
been plugged.
You want
We're
to talk
good.
about? You want to talk about 70s and 80s radio?
No, I don't think
Come
on
on.
this episode.
Not-
I think
that's
another episode. Another episode.
It's another
Yeah,
one.
we'll rock out.
Who's the
Another-
greatest DJ you've ever worked with? Is it the real Don Steele?
No.
Rick Dees?
Oh.
Swedish Eagle?
Swedish Meatball?
Rodney on the Rock? Is it Rodney on the Rock?
Jed the Flounder?
Jed the Fish? Richard Blade?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh, watch out for Blade. He's a scary
You know,
one.
anybody could be listening, so as long as they're still alive, I'll just be
No,
neutral.
what we'll say is this.
I'll be neutral.
Rodney on the
I'll be
Rock.
neutral.
How about Jim
No,
Ladd?
I'll say this.
No, Rodney on the
we are
Rock.
going
He
to
was
give our
cool.
love right now because we just went to the wake for Bob Coburn last week. And Bob Coburn was an amazing influence in our lives.
In FM
we
radio.
were with him
in-
at the
in-
Freddie Mercury tribute concert in England and worked that concert.
Nice.
And I have pictures with Spinal Tap at that concert. And he was an amazing man. And I miss him very
What
much.
did he do? What was he? Did he work out
He
here?
was a DJ. He was on KMET for many years, KLOS for many years.
He ran
hosted
Rockline.
a
Classic rock.
syndicated radio show called Rockline for 30 plus years.
And we'll miss him
So
a lot.
passed away of stage 4 lung cancer, and his memorial was last weekend. So
Wow. Godspeed,
There you
right?
go.
That's
Godspeed,
right.
right?
That's right.
so
Now he's
Rock
We'll save the
on.
radio
We'll
story
be
See,
seeing
for
you.
another time.
now he's hanging out with Bowie and
Exactly.
Mercury
That's right.
and Cobain
Yeah.
and Glenn
I
Fry.
don't know about Kurt. Kurt might still be in his own little world.
He's knocking, trying to get in.
Well, he's just on a separate little.
Glenn
planet.
Fry's locked him out.
I don't know why you went there either. I was like, Kurt, really? We're going to mention him?
I got the reaction I wanted, didn't I?
Yep.
Yes.
All right,
Rock on.
Rachel, anything you want to plug?
Oh, yeah, plug. What am I plugging? No, I don't really have
Nothing to plug. Well, check out the Ice Temple, my newest book. It's on it's on Amazon right now.
Download that.
Leave us a 4-star review on iTunes. Share the episode. Tell your friends. Westworld. If they ever open up a Westworld for real, we'll all go.
Yeah.
I'm in.
For
I'm
$4,000 a
in.
day.
We'll all go.
I'm still in.
We'll have a coupon.
Coupon.
Here's in and our that was been board is Wizen.
Thanks for Lazar's Ham with another episode in Force View. So say we hey.
Timmy?
Bobby. Okay. No.
Then do we have
Wow.
here at Podcast for Excellence?